So today's the quote in fact for this week, is from a Chris Rea song. And the Chris Rea song, he says the following: "You can waste a whole lifetime trying to be what you think is expected of you, but you will never be free." And that just struck me so deeply. It was gifted to me by a friend who sent it to me, somebody who lives in the UK, and it had an astounding impact on my life as I read it. And then I went and looked up the song, and it turns out the song's called Gone Fishing. And that in itself was fascinating because I'm not a fisherman, I'm not an angler, I don't like fishing. In fact, I've often said that if I've got nothing to do, I don't need a fishing rod in my hand to do it. And that's, has of course, resulted in me not being invited with many of my fishing friends and my fishing brother to ever go fishing with them, which is a bit of a problem because I love the places that they go fishing. Anyway, all aside, it really struck me though, even though it wasn't about going fishing, it was maybe about going fishing after my own heart, figuring out what it is that I'm really about. And so there were sort of three stages of development in the story for me. The first one was the realization that I was in bondage to the expectations of others. And I think so often as leaders and influencers, we're unaware of the things that are binding us, the things that are influencing us. By the way, I'm in the rain here a little bit, so that's quite fun too. Secondly, I came to the realization that Chris Rea was more specific than that. He said, trying to be what you think is expected of you. It's not even necessarily what's expected of you, it's what we think is expected of us. It's what I thought was expected of me. And it was an incredible realization for me to go, oh, I'm setting myself up here. And then as the years grew and I kept reflecting on this, I came to a third realization. And that is the realization that true freedom, because this quote is about freedom, you'll never be free when you're under the expectations of others. But the real quote, or the real freedom, is when we live and lead from our truest selves. That's freedom. And there is where we will be free. Not only there is where we'll be free, there is where we will influence, because this is my conclusion, is that as I ventured down this path of turning away from what I thought was expected and turning instead to my heart, to my essence, to my truest self, not only was there liberty for me, but it started to be liberty for others. Not only was there influence on myself, but I started to influence others. And suddenly I was getting feedback that was so fascinating of people telling me how my life had changed their lives. I hadn't changed any techniques. I wasn't doing anything differently. I was being different. And that changed everything. And so here's my question for you. What are you subconsciously submitting to that is holding you back? And what are you able to do? What steps have you taken that have made a difference in terms of living and leading and influencing from your truest self?